Hey y'all, just a second here so you can hear me. Yep, I'm jumping right on here after watching WBT3 news tonight regarding Governor Stein and the North Carolina General Assembly. And I don't know why, I thought I had myself turned, but I'm sitting here looking at the screen and the camera's looking at me. And I need to be looking at the camera and not at the screen. So anyway, it has been reported that the Republicans of the North Carolina General Assembly have refused Governor Stein's order, calling it unconstitutional. So here's why he called them back. Governor Stein called the General Assembly back for a special session beginning Monday, November 17th. And it's to fund the government, the state government, and fund Medicaid. Now you might ask yourself, we're almost at the end of the year. Why do they need to fund the government? Wouldn't that have already been done? You are correct. However, the Senate and the House in the North Carolina General Assembly are controlled by the Republicans. And I believe in the House, it's Dustin Hall who is the leader. And just bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to ask, because the name escapes me. Okay, I thought Phil Berger was the leader of the Senate, but he's not. This says that actually he is the leader. He is the leader. Never mind. Never mind. So the North Carolina Senate is led by Phil Berger. The North Carolina House. Just 1 second here. Let me plus this 1 second. All right. Sorry about that. I had to go run and take a phone call. So like I was saying, the Republicans have defied Governor Stein, and they are not coming back, which means essentially they won't be back until January for the new year. And that means that North Carolina does not have a budget to fund for this fiscal year, which means the funding that's in those agencies now runs out. And that includes Medicaid expansion, which is going to affect some 800,000 people in North Carolina, I think a little bit more, who are going to lose their insurance and be kicked off the insurance rolls because of the dereliction of those representatives. But just so you know, I looked it up just to make sure that Governor Stein was not overstepping his power, and he's not. So the question I asked was, does the governor of North Carolina have the power to call special session on the assembly? And the answer is yes. The governor of North Carolina has the power to call a special session of the General Assembly. This is done by issuing a proclamation, which he did, that specifies the purpose of the session, which he did. That proclamation said the purpose of this session is to fund the government and to refund Medicaid. The power is exercised on extraordinary occasions and by and with the advice of the Council of State. The governor can convene the General Assembly for a special session by issuing a proclamation. The Council of State, the governor must act with the advice of the Council of State, which includes other top executive officials, such as the Lieutenant Governor, the Attorney General, the Auditor, the Secretary of the Superintendent of Education, and so on and so on and so on. The proclamation must state the specific matters which I just went over. Or the legislature could call themselves back into a special session, which they're not going to do. And the reason they're not going to do it is because they're following the blueprint of their federal counterparts, because Dustin Hall and Phil Berger are card-carrying members of the MAGA faction of the Republican Party. That's exactly who they are. I would pull up their office phone numbers so that you can call them and tell them they're full of shit, saying that it's unconstitutional for them to be called back. Since they don't know what their duties are, I think they should be recalled. They should be recalled and somebody else put into their positions. But that's not going to happen. Because they've also redrawn districts on an off census year. I've talked about that in a different video. But yeah, look this up. Look this up. Today is November the 13th. There are 17 days left in this month. 17 plus 31 is 48. 48 days until more than 800,000 people will lose their health care due to the Medicaid expansion fund running out of money, because there is no budget. There is no budget for the fiscal year of 2025 and 2026. We're running off the fiscal year budgets of 2024 through 2025. And yeah, they can do that. They can. But that also brings it home what I said about the national representatives. I'm going to say it about the state representatives. They don't give a fat happy rat's ass about any of you. And that includes me. They don't. They don't. And I would call that a dereliction of duty. But y'all think about that. Think about that. Marinate on that as we wait for the federal government to get its wheels greased and going again. On a side note, the SNAP benefits, the rest of it should be on the EBT cards no later than next week, but they're supposed to start the ball rolling tomorrow. So it may show up tomorrow, but at the very least, please try to swallow your pride. Go find a food bank. People, check on your neighbors. They have to hold on for at least another few days. All right? So I'm going to wrap this video up now. Elections have consequences. Local, state, and federal elections have consequences. But resistance is not futile. And with respect to Dustin Hall and Phil Berger and some other legislators, when someone introduces themselves to you, believe them the first time, and remember that when you go to the polls. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.